Hey friends, I just wanted to show you very quickly how to document your coaching cycle, DOS. So I'm just going to give you another quick walkthrough of what it is. And so I created this sample of Jane Doe and I put what date the cycle began on right here. And obviously it's not a PLC or PD, so I would leave those blank. And initially in talking with the teacher kind of expressed that they would like to learn how to draw and hold student attention in a virtual classroom. They're kind of feeling like the students are just sitting there like blank walls and not very engaged. And so she would like to figure out how to draw them in. And so we gathered baseline data. I went in and measured what was the engagement level, and right, it was at 50%. So she wasn't doing too bad. About half of them, one out of every two, but she definitely wanted to increase it to more. And so she said, well, if it's at 50%, how about then the student effective? We're gonna raise it to 80%. We're gonna try to get 80% of our kids actively engaged in the lesson. And with that, through our conversations, we came up with some ideas. I shared some ideas and she liked them and she had some of her own. And so she says, I want to use the chat. I'm going to use the chat for students' answers. We're going to try that strategy where it's 1, 2, 3 answer and they all hit enter at that same time and they're answering the questions. We're going to start by teaching procedures very clearly in the norms for breakout rooms, and we're going to build up our stamina in time with the breakout rooms. So we're just going to start with 1 or 2 minutes in the breakout room. The teacher's going to visit them, check in, and then draw them out. And then eventually she wants to be able to expand that time. But again, where the norms and the procedures are very clear in them, and so the students know how to operate when they're in breakout rooms and are not sitting around unsure. And then she also said part of her challenge is inviting conversation in a lesson because it feels awkward to train or to teach students in a virtual way. She's not drawing them in. And so she decided, she's going to ask questions, but she's also going to up her ratio of questions. So you look right here, she wants to ask 3 open-ended questions to every 1 closed question as one of the strategies in drawing students in. So the measures we're going to use in this, as a coach, I would go in and I would measure, obviously, does she have a 3-to-1 ratio of open-ended questions? And we're going to use video as well so she can measure herself. We are going to use the Gym Night form to measure student engagement. And so we're going to go over 5 minutes. Each student, we're going to have them mapped out. We're going to spend 5 seconds observing the student and are they engaged or are they not? And then at 3 different times, we're going to stop and the students have a simple form to mark their engagement. And they're going to mark either they didn't feel like they were paying attention, that they were looking ahead but not really engaged in the lesson, or they felt actively involved in the lesson. Their names are not going to be on it, and then they will actually turn those in. So that way, that's also another type of measure. So we have several different measures we can use. And so we practiced these. The teacher did them. We created a little checklist with these. The teacher actually turned it to a giant anchor chart since there's no students in her class at this time. Just a reminder to utilize these strategies. And the result is the teacher stumbled at first as she learned to use this checklist, but through repeated use, she became much more comfortable. The students' engagement actually rose to 75% fairly consistently. And they grew more involved in conversations. And actually, their language arts scores, where she was applying these strategies, they actually increased. Their scores went up on their weekly test. So it was an impact cycle. And then I would actually go back up once it's done. And now I'd go back up and I would put an ending date right here. All right. I hope that helps. Thank you so much.